San Francisco's largest project so far is going to be Hayes Point. It's a $1.2 billion tower, and it's not just a tower, but when the city constructs something this expensive, you also have increased employment for the building, right? Insane revenues for the building. Now, the revenues from the building, of course, are going to be taxed, and the city loves it because the city's going to be like getting all that juicy tax money, especially with hundreds of thousands of square feet. The taxes are crazy high for Hayes Point. And lastly, it's a great status symbol for the city. And of course, cities with a lot of skyscrapers and a lot of people, a lot of offices, a lot of employees, it's what really stimulates a city. This is why San Francisco was so successful. They built so many skyscrapers. They got so many talented tech individuals coming into the city. It is pretty much what made San Francisco great. It's not just like the location, but also the attitude of the city, right? Before the pandemic, this was a massive tech hub, and I get it. Before the pandemic, there were also shoplifting, robberies, car break-ins. There was a lot of crap like that. But the reason why San Francisco was still pretty strong as a tech city back then was there's so many employees. There were 100 to 200,000 office employees walking around, and there were hundreds of thousands of people commuting to work to San Francisco every single day. The Bay Area Rapid Transit, their train network was always packed. Their bus network was always packed. There was crazy amount of traffic. It was a city where there was a lot of talent. Like if you want to do tech, if you want to do a startup, San Francisco is where you want to go. But now San Francisco is empty. Nobody's here. And now you finally got the first major cancellation of a project. And here's the thing about these massive skyscraper projects in San Francisco. It is near impossible to get one of these approved. And I'm sure the company of Hayes Point probably spent 3 to 4 years lobbying themselves to get this tower built. And now when they got the green light to start building, they have now fully canceled the project. Now it's not totally canceled, but they have fully halted the project after developers have failed to find tenants. Now Hayes Point was supposed to be reviving San Francisco's struggling downtown because if they built a tower and it's fully booked out, it really does stimulate the economy. But with over 100 brands fleeing the San Francisco area because of crazy high crime, I mean, you have scenes like this on a constant basis every single day. Just people spraying graffiti. You have people spraying graffiti on buses, spraying graffiti on public transit. I mean, this is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Spraying graffiti on, robot cars, and also blatant robberies and just really, really high theft and crime in San Francisco. I mean, just have people straight up stealing and shoplifting merchandise. And you know what? They just get away scot-free. Insane burglaries. This is why so many people are leaving San Francisco. This is not the city you want to be in. Obviously, there's still great places in San Francisco, but I could tell you that a good 2/3 of the area is pretty crime infested, and those are places that you don't want to live. I mean, look at this. How can you get a city to this point? I mean, it has to have a ton of neglect, and nobody's pleased with the situation. Most people are very frustrated with the situation. Okay, a lot of business owners are leaving in droves. I mean, just look at this video, for example. Do you see a single storefront that's open? No, all these storefronts are empty and for lease, and that's for good reason. Who is going to be like renting a store here and opening a bakery, for example, in front of all this crazy stuff? I mean, the storefronts over there are completely empty. There are no stores. So obviously, Hayes Point being canceled was probably the right decision to do. This is an insane tower, guys. This is not like some small tower. I mean, if Hayes Point gets built, back in 2018, 2019, this would have been like the hottest skyscraper, right? The offices would have easily been rented out. The condos would have been easily sold, and everyone would have wanted a piece of the real estate. But now you do have 333 condos, which nobody wants. Almost 300,000 square feet of office and retail space that nobody wants, because the vacancies in San Francisco is hitting up to close to 40%. In fact, there's even more units out there that are leased out, but it's completely empty because people have already left and they just can't cancel a lease. They signed the lease, so they're just waiting for a lease to expire. They can't even sublease it. Uber, to this day, they can't even sublease out their office. Also have some pretty cool amenity space. And overall, this is soaring 540 feet, which is very, very tall for San Francisco standards. It's a 47-story mixed-use building, condos, restaurants, offices. This is a high-end building. This is not your average Joe townhouse or average Joe like 2-bedroom condo. This is a whole entire tower, which looks absolutely amazing overall. Just pretty much changes the whole landscape of the San Francisco skyline, the Civic Center. But the Civic Center is what you see of this. This is just a few blocks from the tower that's being built, and I doubt it's getting any investors. So the reason why they halted construction was because, one, they just can't really find any tenants, and two, many investors who want to invest in the tower decided to pull out at the last second because of the high crime and homelessness. Just remember one thing, the overall situation in San Francisco with the offices is completely done. You can't even change these offices to homes because, one, office layouts are really weird, and even if you change it, it's going to cost you almost $1,000 per square foot just to change it. And with barely any tenants, who wants to be here, right? And by the way, NEMA, this massive tower near the X headquarters, this is like a crazy good looking building. It's a luxury apartment building right next to, Reddit, Lyft, Uber. This tower right here that's nice and blue and tall, they're foreclosing. They're at a brink of foreclosure. This building may just go back to the lender because they may default on a $400 million loan. And guess where Hayes Point is? It's like a couple blocks from here. So if this massive tower, 700 units of rentals, luxury rentals, can't even be rented out and the building is going foreclosure, I think it's probably one of the worst decisions to build a $1.2 billion tower, which you'll probably never get your money back. Okay, it's a fantastic looking building. I mean, I love the building, but look at the amount of retailers that have left. These are just the big retailers, and we're not even adding in small mom and pop shops. The amount of office workers have also left. Okay, and even Salesforce CEO is saying the same thing. Street conditions of San Francisco is so bad that they're threatening to pull the future Dreamforce event from San Francisco. Dreamforce is a massive AI event. And if you want to do AI, if you want to see Sam Altman, ChatGPT dude talk on stage, this is where you want to be. Dreamforce is a big event for AI, not just here and domestically, but it's around the world. So with Salesforce already downgrading their office space in San Francisco by like almost more than 50% in my opinion, and also Dreamforce may be leaving, well, it's looking really bad for San Francisco. San Francisco is no longer the tech hub. The tech hub in America is no longer concentrated in one area. It's being spread out evenly through several cities. You could argue that Las Vegas is a big tech hub. You could argue that Austin's a big tech hub. You could even argue that Tampa, Orlando, and even Miami are big tech hubs. And this is what's happening, right? We're seeing all sorts of crazy stuff happening in San Francisco. Nobody really wants to live here anymore. And you do have these massive canceled projects, which is supposed to bring the much needed revenue to the city. But now with so many construction workers, so many construction companies, and construction at an all-time low, San Francisco is down bad right now. Because guess what? San Francisco has roughly made 1,500 condos last year. This year, they've only made about 150 to 200 condos. And that just shows you construction is being halted throughout the city and nobody wants these units. And I really hope San Francisco does recover. It's a nice city if it's clean and if it's pristine. But right now, it's pretty bad.